What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, Big Dog Brett. Thanks so much for tuning in. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share. We appreciate you guys being here. It's going to be a great day today. If you guys stayed awake last night and watched that Oregon game, man, it was a great game. Watching that thing in the first half, really thought Washington was going to stretch it out. Oregon had a great third quarter, whatever you want to call it, and kind of got back into it. And man, just ended up being a great game. That last run up the middle, man, seal the game, put it away. Great job to the Washington Huskies for going undefeated, punching their ticket to the National College Champion Football Game playoff round 1 through 7. Okay, guys, there's been a lot going on in the college football world. Let me tell you what. For whatever reason, Alabama fans have absolutely just lost their minds. They have come out of the woodwork, just to tell everybody how they are going to beat Georgia like a drum. And guys, we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about all of the facets of this game. There's too much to put into one video. I made a video yesterday because I wanted to put something out as quick as I could. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to give you guys the opportunity to respond in real time. So that's what I wanted to do today. I wanted to give you guys an opportunity to respond in real time and discuss what's going on. Before we do that, before we jump into that, I'm going to jump into my predictions for what we're going to see. Yes, you were, but it's okay. One of these days you'll learn. I'm just kidding, man. So let's look at the Texas versus Oklahoma State. This is really shouldn't be a game. I think that Texas is getting a lot of credit for that dominant win they had over Texas Tech, that 57-7. If we go back a week and we look at ISU, they beat ISU by 10 points. They scored 26. The week before that, they played TCU. They barely won that game, 29-26. Then they played before that Kansas State, and they won that game by a field goal in overtime. It would not surprise me if Oklahoma wins this game. It would not surprise me if Texas blows it out. I kind of want to pick Oklahoma State. But man, what do you do here? I'm going to stick with Texas. I think Texas wins the game, but hey, it is what it is. I'm going to throw out the StreamYard link for Trenches if he wants to jump on. We'll see if he does. Keith may join us in a little while as well, where he's going to be up here to watch the game with me later today. Also going to have some other company watching the game. It's going to be a good time. We're gonna watch a lot of college football today. Yeah, I hear you, Trenches. Out to it, sir. I need you. Need you like a fat kid needs cake. Get your ass in here. Okay, so that game comes on at lunch. It will definitely be worth watching. Then the 4:00 game is Georgia, Alabama. Nobody cares about Tulane, SMU. Nobody cares. The 8:00 games tonight are Michigan and Iowa, and Louisville versus Florida State. So we're going to talk about the Michigan-Iowa game real quick because, man, what happens if somehow Iowa pulls this off? Iowa, man, their defense is actually pretty dead blame good. I think that their defense is allowing, like, I don't know. Let me pull it up real quick. Let me find it. Stats. Oh my God. Team stats. Where's it at? Let's see. That's their scoring. Where's their defense at? Their points per game for themselves like 18 points a game. I think they're allowing like 10 points a game or something. And their last 5 games, 42 points in the last 5 games. That's averaging 8 points a game. Granted, they've been playing trash teams. I get it. But Michigan, they really haven't been scoring a lot of points. So it's going to be an interesting game. I think Michigan will pull away with this game late. I think that Iowa may give them more of a fight than what they realize because they have a really, really good defense. I don't think their offense is all that great. Michigan also has a good defense, but I think Iowa's is better. Yeah. Pharaoh says, but Iowa can't even score on a prostitute. Yeah, Iowa only scored 3 touchdowns all year. Hey, that's okay. Clemson beat South Carolina without scoring an offensive touchdown. I'm just saying it can be done. Why do all Big Ten offenses remind me of 2019 Georgia? I don't know. But here's what we've seen in the past. Teams that come out of the Big Ten, come out of the other conferences, they don't tend to do as well. My background, I may have to adjust my background, guys. Let me see. Yeah, I'm going to have to adjust the background real quick.
Yeah, I don't think we're playing Missouri.
Yeah, let's get rid of that.
Yeah, a lot easier opponent this week.
Some would say that. Some would say that. Let me get this loaded up real quick. I don't want to. I don't want to upset the Bama fans too much. So there we go. So me and you kind of talked about this a little bit yesterday, and I really appreciate you jumping on.
Yeah,
bringing you out of retirement here.
There we go.
Looking at, let's talk about the Michigan Iowa game because this game has huge implications. I don't think that this game is as put away as they say it is. I think Michigan's going to win it.
Yeah,
but let's talk about what if they don't. What happens then?
It's a big what if because it's like a 24-point spread.
Well, I don't buy this 22. I don't buy so much into the point spread anymore. Being a Georgia fan, I don't feel like that's an accurate representation of what teams actually do.
Yeah,
but you got to give Iowa credit. They are 10-2 overall. I mean, this is not a bad football team. This is a very old school, just stout defense.
Yeah, but the question is, can they score more than 7 points?
Maybe
that's the problem.
Well,
if you can't score, you can't win.
They scored 22 points against Rutgers. They scored 15. Hey, it's like JT Daniels said. If the other team can only score 10, we've only got to score 13.
True.
So I'm not saying that Iowa is going to blow out Michigan. I'm not saying it. I'm saying I'm a believer that Iowa's defense may be just enough to surprise Michigan and keep them off balance. The total over-under in this game is 34.5. That's super low. That would mean that they think that Iowa's going to score like 10 and Michigan's going to score like 24.
Yeah. I wouldn't put my money. I mean, if I was out of the 3 games left for playoff contentions, this would be the one I'd probably bet on for Michigan.
For Michigan? You think Michigan covers the 22?
I do. I think Iowa's that bad on offense.
But they may be that bad on offense, but Michigan hasn't had a 22-point gap on a team since November the 4th. They only beat PSU. They beat PSU by 9.
Iowa should not be in this game. If you've watched Iowa play all year, they're that bad.
Their offense is that bad.
That's it. Yeah, their defense is stout. There's no denying that.
I like that hat, sir, by the way.
Appreciate it. Actually, got it at the Tennessee game.
Oh, attaboy. Did you make a lot of friends there?
You know what? I'll give them credit. It's kind of like Athens. No one really talked bad to me. Everybody was super cool, super nice. Met a lot of ex-players. They were a real good time.
Well, I mean, that's – what's up, Alex MLD? What's up, my boy? God, I swear to God, dude, if I have to listen to another YouTuber say, it's your boy, all I can think of when I hear that is John Candy from Home Alone. Polka, polka, polka. Yeah, Sheboygan. We're big in Sheboygan. It's Sheboy. Every time I hear that.
Now,
all I can hear is Sheboygan.
When we talked on the phone yesterday, there was 2 games that we were different on. You're 1-0 right now because I thought Oregon was going to take Washington out. The other thing we differed on is I think Louisville catches Florida State. And you're sticking with the Florida State train.
100%. You want to talk about that game next?
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, might as well save the Georgia and Bama.
The Kenosha Kickers. As long as you don't mind hanging out with some polka bombs. Golly. Telling my age right there. What's up, 225 girl? Oh, I guess I didn't do a roll call. Let me knock that out real quick. Oh, we got Trenches in the house. How you doing today, Trenches? Appreciate you being here. Colby Covers, Jay Shipes, my resident Gilligan fighter. Appreciate that guy. Let's go, Brandon. Robert, how you doing today? Bulldog, JC, Nick Saban Jr. Sports Talk TV. How you doing? Zephyr Roth, Matt Dunnett, Jesse Stacy, Brock RTR. Colby Covers wants to join. He said got up in the studio. We'll let you in. Go ahead, Colby. What's up, my man? How's your pops doing?
Y'all hear me?
How's your pops?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think your audio is running through something besides your mic, though, because it sounds bad. Check your mic.
Let me try to change that.
Yeah,
I'll fix that and come back. I'll come back in.
Oh, you're good. You're good. We'll let him hang there. Stingray, what's up? Pharaoh. Pharaoh, world-class hustler. Edmondson. I like that. I respect the hustle, sir. Respect the hustle. Shut up and grind tape. I heard is a good friend of Trenches, by the way. Helper Billy Paul, how you doing? BDB Sports in the house. How you doing? Thank you for being here, sir. Also, we've got, I saw somebody else, Alex MLD, of course. Skip 074A 225 girl, Alex MLD. Savage Dog is also here. Thank you guys so much for being here. We appreciate you guys. Without you guys, this channel goes nowhere. It's just me talking in the basement to myself, which has been known to happen. So we appreciate you guys.
There's the comment of the day right there. Alex says, Georgia's done after this loss today. Maybe, but y'all are done even if you win.
Yeah. Alex, you may be right. And let me tell you, if Georgia does lose, while I will be disappointed, I'm going to go hug 2 national championship trophies, and then I'm going to lay down and sleep soundly knowing that we set an SEC record over Alabama and 3 undefeated seasons back-to-back. So I have a lot to be angry about. So the Georgia program has been extremely successful. I'm not telling you that stuff to be a cop-out. I'm telling you that stuff because no matter what happens today, I'm very proud of this football team and what Kirby Smart has done for it. And I'm proud of how a lot of the fans have handled the success. I was concerned there for a little while we were going to get some of that entitlement syndrome, but it seems like the fans are still pretty critical. The fans are still they want perfection still. And that's something that you need. When you become complacent, that's when you start slipping down the ladder. So
I feel like Bama fans don't understand that this winning is still new to us. We're still just enjoying the ride.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like we're happy with everything Kirby's done. Even if we win 40 or lose 42 zip today, I'm still happy with what happened.
Oh yeah, you can't. It's hard to be angry at this point. It's hard to be angry. Colby, get your stuff fixed, man. Get yourself back in here. Let's talk about Louisville, Florida State. Right. What you got? What's your first thoughts here?
First thoughts is Louisville's gonna knock them out. I think. Look, they lost to Kentucky. I'll give you that. They didn't look good. They're not a great team. But Florida State had to struggle win against Florida, one of the laughing stocks of the SEC right now. Well, I think this game is more even than you think.
I don't think that Florida State is going to blow Louisville out. I don't. I think Florida State's going to win this by a touchdown. That's what I think. I mean, if you look at the quarterback comparison, I know they got the backup quarterback in, but Jay Plummer's got almost 3,000 yards on the season. That's really good. That's not bad. Now, granted, he's got 21 touchdowns and 11 interceptions, which is not awesome, but it seems to be enough. They have a high-powered offense, or they try to have a high-powered offense. They try to run a ton of plays and get down the field. Keep in mind, this team almost beat Kentucky, and Kentucky's a very physical football team. It's a very physical football team. So I think you got to give credit to the Cards. I think you got to acknowledge how good they are. And by the way, up until it was tied. I think going into the fourth quarter, or right after the fourth quarter got going, it was tied. It was 24-24.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kentucky went up. It was 24, and then Kentucky went up a touchdown. And then late again, Louisville tied it up. They got a lot of fight in them. And then what happened right after that? Kentucky scored another touchdown, kind of put it away. But what you see is that this team is scrappy. This team can play. I think that it's going to be tight, but I think ultimately Florida State is just a little better polished, and I think their defense is a little better as well.
Fair enough. I'm still sticking with Louisville, but fair enough. Good point.
Okay. So let's talk about Florida, right? So Florida versus Florida State. Let's talk about that game a minute because that deserves a little bit of attention. This was a game where both teams, you kind of wondered like what's going on here. But then, I mean, it was really, I think, right about halftime, you kind of felt like FSU was in control of this game, and then Florida went up by a point. And then after that, FSU started pulling away with it late in the game.
Yeah.
When people say they barely beat Florida, I say, well, Florida scored a field goal in the whole second half. Florida State scored 17. And so that's continuing, the trend of continuing to get better as the game goes along. Florida had more yards. Florida had almost as many first downs. Florida controlled the ball longer, but Florida State was just a little too much for them.
Well, here's my flip side to that. Here's my flip side to that.
Yeah.
Florida's defense is horrendous. And that new quarterback had such a hard time moving the ball on that defense. That's where I think Louisville could capitalize. I think if they keep the field position on Florida State's side, they'll get enough field goals to get out of there with a win.
So one of the things that I think, and this is just my opinion, I think that what Louisville is kind of made to play a team like Florida State. They are solid against the run, my opinion, and they're decent against the pass. Well, Louisville, they're going to get in there and try to get ugly with them. And I don't know how well Florida State's going to handle that. I think Florida State is going to kind of muddle through this game. I am concerned that Florida State might be trying to look ahead because they're ranked number 5. They want to try and get in the playoff. What do you do here? I mean, if Florida State wins this game, so let's play out the whole scenario.
Okay.
So if Washington's in, nobody's gonna doubt Washington's in.
Yeah, they're
right?
good.
Well, Washington's in.
Yeah.
Georgia wins, they're in. There's no doubt about those. Michigan wins, they're in. There's no doubt about that. Those are 3 teams nobody's going to be able to kick off the ladder. They're just not. Well, if Florida State wins, they're also undefeated.
They're in.
And what happens if Texas wins?
Look. I know it's frustrating to hear because there's 2 sides to this, right? Like you want the best 4 teams, okay? Which, we've had this discussion of if Alabama beats Georgia, do they get in? Because they technically would be one of the best 4 teams with the best win in the whole nation. The problem is you have to play the season. And if you're taking an undefeated team and jumping them from a team from the eye test in Texas, then why did that undefeated team even play a game this year? What is the point of it if the undefeated means nothing? They have to be in. I know they're not one of the best 4 teams, but they played the schedule. They did what they were supposed to do. They won every game. They should be in the playoffs, plain and simple.
Well, I would normally agree.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's a lot of people that are forgetting there's another undefeated team out there.
You talking JMU?
I'm talking about Liberty. Liberty is 13-0.
Yeah, all right. So, but what was Liberty's Power 5 games?
New Mexico State.
Okay, so you got Auburn's dad.
And I think that's about it.
Then yeah.
But here's the thing. I mean, they're currently 13-0. They are undefeated. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody's talking about it.
Did you think in 2017 UCF should have gotten to the national championship?
Absolutely not. Just like I feel like TCU shouldn't have gotten it
Same with
either.
Liberty then. Liberty's even had an
100%.
easier schedule than UCF.
No, 100%. I agree.
But Florida State actually had a schedule in the Power 5 conference. And let's look at Texas. Texas would be the only team that could jump them, right? Texas,
I think
they beat Alabama.
because Oregon's out,
And who else?
Ohio State's out. So the current rankings, if you were to rank them based off of games played, you would have Georgia, Michigan, Washington, Florida State, then Texas at 5, and then Bama, right? That's what you would have. Because Ohio State should be completely out of this mix because there's nothing they can do here. They're out. If Texas wins, Alabama wins, and Florida State wins, do you take Georgia, Michigan, Washington, Florida State?
Georgia, Michigan, Washington, Florida State. If everybody wins out today, that's my four teams.
Well, yeah, but not everybody can. What I'm saying is that in that mix right there, do you take if Texas wins, right? Let's say Texas wins that game.
Mm-hmm.
Their only loss was to I would say an average Oklahoma, right? By 4 points. So it wasn't like they got blown out. I mean, and Oklahoma's currently ranked 12th. I mean, it's not they were. What do you do with that? Because then they're a conference champion with one loss, essentially over a top 10 ranked team. We'll give them some credit, and they have wins over Alabama, which obviously Alabama's a good team. So
okay, but
hang on. Talking about best teams. If you're talking about best teams, I mean, tomorrow, if you sat down and you said, I'm gonna have Florida State play Texas, who would you pick?
Right now, I pick Texas. But here's the thing, though, Brett. You just said Texas would have a good win against the number 13 or 14 Oklahoma State, right? To get in. Well, then Florida State just beat number 15 Louisville.
Well, yeah. But
I mean, there has to be a balance here because if you look at ranked opponents, they're about even. The only difference is the best win goes to Texas because they beat Bama in Bama. But you can't penalize a team because the quarterback went down and they're still getting undefeated. Like I hate to say it, but not the four best. The four best teams might not be getting in this year.
I agree that the four best teams might not be getting in this year. But if you were going to take the four best teams, you would have to say, if I was on the playoff committee and I had to sit down and say, okay, we can't say that schedule matters 100%. We cannot say that because if that's the case, you would have to have Liberty over Texas.
All right, so let's play that game then. All right, so we know four best teams. In your mind right now, who are the four best teams? You have Georgia, Michigan, Washington. Who's that for?
Georgia, Michigan, Washington.
Mm-hmm.
I would honestly put Oregon above Florida State, even with the loss to Washington.
So in your mind, that's the fourth best team in college football right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna disagree. So people might get mad at this. I'm putting another 2-loss team in there. I think Bama's playing better than Texas and Florida State is. I think if you played Bama and Texas tomorrow, Bama would win that game. They caught Bama at a struggle time. Let's be honest. Early Georgia and Bama are almost the same identically when it comes to when they peak, and it's November, December. That is where they get it. Right now, if those two were playing head up, you'd put your money on Texas?
On who? Texas, Alabama?
Yeah, if they played today instead of Georgia and Bama, and it was Texas and Bama, who'd you put your money on?
Man, you're trying to make me piss off the Bama fans. So I'm gonna pick Texas in a heartbeat, dude.
I think Quinn Ewers has a struggle city on that game.
They already played.
They played in September. I'm saying right now, the four best teams, I would put Bama probably 4.
Right on. Give me that mic check, Kobe.
Test. 1, 2.
Yes, sir.
Got it going.
Your mic's a little bit loud though.
It is loud. All right. A little bit better now.
That's a lot better. I like that. We can roll that.
Gotcha.
So let me finish embarrassing myself here. So looking at Texas right now, I think Oregon has played better defense all season than Texas. I feel like Oregon has played better defense all season than Alabama. I feel like they had a dominant win over Oregon State. They had a dominant win over Utah. They had a dominant win over Colorado, which we all know is trash, but still. And then they had a 3-point loss to the number 3 team in the country. I mean, that's razor thin. What's up, Zeph?
Not much.
So what we're talking about is a team that I'm getting a lot of background noise from you, Zeph. Can you turn your mic down just a little bit for me, my man? Thanks,
Is that better?
Not really. It's okay. We'll work with it.
Got
So-
that weed eater going in the background.
Yeah, that's what it is. So, in my opinion, if I look at overall, right, who's performed well all season and who's performing well now, I don't think there's anybody in this room that would take Jalen Milroe over Bo Nix. Bo Nix, absolutely incredible. If you ask me tomorrow who would go higher in the draft, it's Bo Nix in a heartbeat. If you ask me which team has played better defense all season, it's Oregon. I would take Oregon over them any day of the week. I would take Oregon over Texas right now.
All right, let me flip it on you then. Oregon, in my opinion, you look at their schedule, they've had 2 big games. They're 0-2 in those big games.
Are you saying? So you're saying
The only big opponents they've crushed or had come up that was like college game day worthy was Washington.
they lost 3 points to Washington the first time and 3 points to Washington the second time?
Hey man, horseshoes and hand grenades, man, you still lost.
No, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
I see what you're saying. But what I'm saying is that if you are capable of playing the number 3 team in the country, some would argue number 2, the number 3 team in the country, and you're coming up just 3 points short, that's the flip of a coin. That's the bounce of a ball in both of those games.
Well, the thing is, too, like, do we think that the playoff committee is putting the best teams in, or should they put the most deserving teams in?
it's going to be deserving.
It should not be deserving.
I never said it should be. I said it's going to be.
It's going to
I
be.
hope not.
I don't think it should
Yeah,
be. I'm
it's
with
gonna be
Big Dog
deserving.
Brett on this one. Because
should
Florida
be.
State is probably not one of the best 4 teams in the country.
If it was
Here's the
deserving,
thing,
Bama would get in every year.
If they don't put Florida, if Florida State wins today and they go undefeated and they put them at 4, and they win out and they don't put them at 4, that is a lot of explaining that playoff committee is going to have to do.
Yeah.
I guarantee you they're just going to take the 4 undefeated and just wash their hands of it.
Well, that's what I was talking about. So I have a theory here, and I want to get you guys' input. And I already told Trenches, so I'll tell you guys. And I did this last year offline. Me and him did this last year offline, and I was 100% correct. Was I not?
Yeah.
So I don't feel like any games are rigged. I feel like it's impossible to rig games, but I think we would all agree that sometimes we've seen calls, even for other teams, that we don't have a dog in the fight. We go, looks like a little bit of influence going on right here. And I think that's what you're going to see. I think that what the committee is going to look to do is they always want to do things that are historic because it looks good and it draws eyes to television. And let's be honest, as much as we all just love college football for what it is, they got to make money on the TV. I appreciate the super cat, Toby Cadenhead. I hope I said that right. Appreciate the 20 spot, sir. He says dogs. Absolutely. Go dogs.
On top.
Dogs on top. So what I'm looking at is what is going to make a nice little fairy tale ending, right? What's going to look good in the press? What's going to sell tickets? What's going to put butts in seats? And what is going to get people to watch? That's what you're going to see. So in my opinion, I think that you're going to see, and I called it last night, Washington's going to win. And I feel like Georgia's going to win. I feel like Michigan's going to win. And Florida State's going to win. And I feel like all of those teams, Georgia included, is going to get help. The reason I say that is because it is the only way that the college football playoff committee can get out of this thing unscathed. It's the biggest thing that's going to put the most butts in seats and eyes on TVs. That's going to happen. And number 3, it'll be the first time in a long time that you've had 4 different conference champions in the playoff.
Really?
And
I didn't even think about that one.
It's the first time that all of them will be undefeated, and it will be the last set of 4. So when you look at all of those things that basically gives all these talking heads reason to talk and people reasons to watch, I feel like that's going to be a part of it. Now, that's not to say that it won't come down to a ball bounce one way and somebody wins something, but in my opinion, and I called it like this last year, I said, this is going to happen because of this, and it went exactly like that. So
yeah, I feel like the
including-
biggest.
Go ahead.
I feel like the biggest debate, if you want to call it debate, is Texas. If they win today, I think they will over Oklahoma State or Florida State. Who's better in the eyes of the committee? I mean, you got a big road win over Bama in Tuscaloosa. Is that a good win? Yes, obviously. But is Texas State undefeated in the ACC conference championship? Is that better than Texas? I feel like that number 4 spot is going to be crucial, and people are going to cry about this. And I don't know who's going to cry about it, but Texas or Florida State, someone's about to get really, 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 really mad.
You know, there's a way to avoid all this. And this is what
What's
you
that?
tell Texas fans, you can tell Bama fans this, Oregon fans, don't lose.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
You go undefeated, you should be in. And that's my argument for Florida State.
Back over here with 29 straight.
We're looking good, aren't we, boys?
Absolutely.
Oh.
But that's the argument that I give for Florida State. Yes, Florida State, I think, is going to get creamed round 1 of the playoffs no matter who they play. But they did what they were supposed to do.
And who did Texas lose to?
Oh,
They
Oklahoma.
lost- Oklahoma. Yeah,
They
and
really-
that was a very, very close game. I wonder if the committee looks at that close game and be like, well, it kind of went either way. I don't know. The committee's kind of, I don't know. They're kind of like women. You never know what they think.
Yeah.
Well, I think that if you put FSU in there, they're going to get blown out.
Me too.
And I think that Washington, while a good football team, and Oregon is a good football team as well, I don't feel like either one of those teams could compete with Georgia. The thing that has surprised me the most, and I guess it shouldn't have surprised me, but has surprised me the most, is how what's the word I'm looking for? Delusional some of these Alabama fans are. There's Alabama, and it's not all Alabama fans. If you feel like that's targeted at you, hang on a second. It's not all Alabama fans. Some Alabama fans are like, we have a good football team. We're going to come out there. We're going to play hard. We have Coach Nick Saban, and it's going to be a good game. Okay, fair enough. I can respect that. Alabama fans coming out there and say that they're gonna blow Georgia out by 21 points. It makes me scratch my head. And their only reason for that is, well, because Bama.
Yeah.
Well, did well because Bama work against Texas, and did well because Bama work against Auburn last week? No, it didn't. So,
You remember what I told you yesterday, right?
What's that?
The weirdest part about Bama fans is if you ask any of them, how are y'all winning today? Well, it's the SEC championship in Atlanta. We win there all the time. But that's their only reason they're going to win is that voodoo. But yet if you tell them, hey, you might lose in Jordan-Hare because the voodoo's bullshit, it makes no sense. It's all hypocritical shit.
So when the season started, I said that it was possible that that Alabama would be like 8-4. People lost their minds. Okay, let's talk about that. They beat Texas A&M by less than 7 points.
Mhm.
They beat
Arkansas.
they beat Arkansas by 3 points, and they beat Auburn by 3 points. So to me, those are kind of coin flips. Now, granted, Georgia's had some of that as well. That would be 8-4. This team is exactly what I thought this team was. The thing that has really changed, and what a lot of people don't want to admit, is that at the beginning of the season, everybody was talking about Georgia and how soft their conference was, or the schedule we had.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia played Kentucky, ranked number 20. Georgia played Missouri, ranked number 12. Ole Miss, number 9. Tennessee, number 18. And by the way, for those who don't want to give Georgia Tech their credit, Georgia Tech has like the second highest rushing average in the country.
Yeah, Georgia State's a good team. Definitely.
Georgia Tech is a good team.
They played good this year.
I mean, their average points per game. Does anybody know what their average points per game is?
Mm-mm.
Their average points per game is 31 points.
Yeah, that's enough to win football games right there.
That's certainly enough to win football games. Now, here's the other thing. What a lot of people don't know is that Georgia also held one of the highest rushing teams in the country to the least amount of points they've had all season. So
In a way,
and by the way, Georgia did that after having pulled like 5 or 6 starters out of that game. Never even let them touch the field.
yeah.
Georgia
And I'm kind
spent-
of glad we played Georgia Tech and Tyler Van Dyke, because Tyler Van Dyke's kind of like Milroe in a way. He's more mobile, so I'm kind of glad we got a little footprint like on what Bama's going to do, like kind of mold to it.
Yeah.
Man, I think, and I want to pick y'all's brain about this. I'm pretty sure Kirby's going to spy Milrow, but who do you put on them? You think you put a linebacker on him because our
CJ
linebackers?
Allen.
Okay, I hear you.
CJ
That's
Allen,
what I would do
whatever.
too. But our
CJ Allen.
linebackers from side to side aren't as fast as they were in the past couple of years. So that kind of makes me like, do you put maybe Tyke Smith on him?
No. Here's what you do.
You'll never see a defensive player as fast as CJ Allen.
And me and Tritch has already had this conversation offline. Back whenever Dooms Johnson got injured, right? Forearm fracture. They pulled him out, right? And I told Trenches, I guess it was about game 3 or game 4. I was like, we don't have the speed at the linebacker position we had. I know Kirby values experience, but speed, we just can't get to the corners quick enough. And that's why we were getting slapped around a little bit. Well, then CJ Allen comes in, and I told Trenches, I was like, that's the guy we needed. He's athletic. He's fast. He may not have the experience, but he's still absolutely elite. He'll figure it out. And that is exactly what's happened. Now, there's still been some runs that get through from time to time. That is going to happen on every team. But the gashing that we were getting because Pop couldn't get there, it wasn't that he didn't see the play. It was worse because he could see the play and he couldn't get there.
Yeah, there's
Taking
reports
bad routes. It just wasn't fast enough.
There's reports at practice that CJ Allen's like the young Roquan. Like that's how good he's playing in practice.
Yeah, he's going to be nasty.
He's a freshman, ain't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
18 years old, flying.
Yeah, he's going to be a stud.
And here's the other thing I want to throw out there on the floor. You got a lot of Bama fans that are out there saying, well, Georgia's defense is not as good as it was last year. That's true. The last 2 years, Georgia has had a generational defenses 2 years in a row. The defense that we have now is still a really good defense, but our offense is better than it's ever been. Statistically and points-wise, it is the best it has ever been. Todd Monken did a great job year before last and last year. Mike Bobo has taken it to the next level. The numbers now are better than they have ever been. So I said early in the season, I was like, guys, it's not Carson Beck and it's not Mike Bobo. It was the offensive line. Georgia got the offensive line fixed, and look at what has happened.
Yeah. Have y'all already updates on Tate Ratledge? I know he didn't play and got hurt in the 2 games ago.
From what Kirby said, he just banged knees. I'm sure he'll be in.
Yeah, I think
The one that I'm still questioning is Ladd.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Ladd,
here's the
back
thing
injury.
for Ladd.
Yeah.
Well, for him, it was ankle injury.
I thought it was back.
No, it's back
Oh
spasm.
no,
No,
I think Kirby said it. Yeah, he hurt his calf or something, or like had a.
Whenever he
He
went down in
said
the
he's
end
been dealing
zone,
with that back issue all season. Like he just doesn't go away.
So I don't know if
had
he's covering it up
spasms
with a foot injury or if it's
Yeah.
really a back injury. Like who knows, you know?
so whenever I was looking at everything, let me find it real quick. These damn paywalls. Bowers has been sprinkled in some drills, teamwork this week, while McConkey and Thomas have done some running. Adelaide would find out Thursday about their availability. What did he say about it? Didn't say anything about Ratledge. Well, Ratledge was suited up. Ratledge was suited up last week. What happened? What I miss?
This is Skip 07 UA says who's running a box fan in the background.
I think that's Zeph. Is that a weed eater? It's a weed eater. Yeah, I think.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good, bro.
man.
I think. I mean, if it bothered me that much, I would mute you. So
Okay,
don't worry about it. He said, "I hear they're all going to play," and I think they are. I'm also going to give you guys a little bit of information here. So, last week, the week prior to the Auburn game, Alabama had to practice for Auburn. Granted, they didn't run their most exotic offenses and all this other stuff, but they still struggled. They were behind. They were losing, and they were playing all their starters. Georgia, in the fourth quarter of that game, was never behind. It was never a thought that Georgia was going to lose that game. The whole week prior to Georgia Tech, Georgia was practicing for Alabama. That's all we did. This last week, we've practiced for Alabama. That's all we've done. So, in my opinion, Georgia should have a jump start on playing Alabama. Georgia is one of the few teams out there that has ever lined up across the ball and just beat the piss out of Alabama. The only one that I can name. So,
Hey, here's another thing too. Did y'all hear about Jace McCullen?
Yeah, he's out.
Yeah,
Starting running back. I say starting running back. Obviously Mildews. They're starting running back, but it does affect them in a bit. You know.
It affects him more in the blocking. I picked up Jace on our college fantasy. He got me like 15 points total all year. He's really just on blocking.
Well, let's look at this real quick. So, I would say that as a quarterback, if you're throwing down 250 to 300 yards a game, you're probably doing your job, right?
Yeah.
So in Auburn, he threw for 260. UTC, which they mainly ran the ball, he threw for less than 200. Kentucky, he threw for 234. LSU 200. Tennessee 200. So he actually outperformed his normal rate against Auburn, and he put up 260 yards. It's about 30 to 40 more yards than he average puts up, right? Then he rushed for 100. He rushed for half of the team rushing yards, right?
Yeah.
And all they could come up with was essentially 27 points.
Yeah.
Does anybody here think 27 points is going to be enough to beat Georgia?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think anybody does. Nobody this season has scored more than 31 points against Georgia. I think it's something like that. Let me pull it up real
Does
quick.
anyone score 30 against us?
I told 21. 23.
Well, Missouri
Georgia
did.
Tech scored 23. Missouri scored 21, and UAB scored 21. A couple of those were just trash overtime stuff.
Exactly.
Overtime, trash time. But if you think for 1 second that you're going to come out and you're going to, we'll just say donkey stomp Georgia, you got another thing coming. Oh, this is the best offense they've seen all year. It was also the best offense that Auburn had seen all year. How'd that turn out?
Hey, Brett, I do have to go. Granddaddy's in town from Tennessee, so we're going to Cracker Barrel.
Oh, there you go. That's what's up.
Yeah.
Get some good pancakes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hey,
Those,
for those
hey, what,
of you
those-
who don't, go ahead.
Those cheesecake pancakes, they have some good ones over there.
And for those of you who don't know, you can buy the Cracker Barrel pancake mix at the grocery store, and they are just as good. They are as advertised. They are that. It is the same mix. It is good.
I hope Mrs. Colby ain't watching.
That's fat boy knowledge for you.
I hear you. But anyway,
right,
let me give you my score prediction real quick, and I'm gonna head out.
Yeah. Fire away.
Let's go 45-28. Dogs on top.
Damn.
Ooh, that's bold. I like it.
Love it.
Carson.
All right,
Brett.
Trenches. See you later.
Hey, buddy.
Y'all have a good one, all right?
What's going on? Later, brother.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs. I like it. That's bold. So let's talk about something else. Let's talk about something similar real quick. So let's talk about Alabama, right? Without looking at the stat line, what do you think their average points per game is?
23.
28.
35.
Oh, we went low. All right.
So what do you think most of those points are coming from?
Quarterback run.
Well, no. 56 points against MTSU.
Oh, you mean
opponents?
opponents?
Yeah. 66 points. 66 points against Chattanooga. So that right there is buffing the stats on a lot of these other teams that they played. So if you look at when they played Texas, a top 10 team, they scored 24. When they played Ole Miss, they scored 24. When they played Texas A&M, they scored 26. When they played Arkansas, they scored 24. And whenever they played Auburn, they scored 27. So when you're playing, and even against Tennessee, they only scored 34. So when
I have
you're
a
playing
question
against some
real
of these
quick.
better teams, man, they're not
keep
running the
hearing-
score up on them.
I keep hearing that 27 against Auburn. Didn't they get a pick six on like the last play of the game too to make it like 30 something, or did that get called back?
I think they called that back.
Oh, okay. I turned off as soon as I saw the pick six. I was like, done. So
Yeah, they called it back. So here's what. So if we look at Alabama, right? Let me get this pulled over so we can see it. Ole Miss, right? Alabama scores 24. Georgia versus Ole Miss, 52. Yeah.
That game
Tennessee-
surprised me. I didn't
Tennessee-
think we were going to do that well.
What's that?
I didn't think that was going to be the turnout for that game.
Yeah. I mean, but if you look at how Georgia's playing, Georgia, when it plays these teams, it's more consistent, higher average. The one game that pulls Georgia's big average down is South Carolina and Auburn. Georgia just didn't play worth a crap against South Carolina for some reason. It was one bad game. But if you go back and you look at the games that Alabama's got multiple games that they haven't been playing the greatest. So I don't know. I see that and I just kind of shake my head.
I don't know. The thing to look for in this game is there's 3 Sunday matchups to watch. You got Mims versus Dallas. You got Ladd versus Kool-Aid.
Yeah, that don't matter.
And then Bond versus Kamari Lasker. All 6 of those players will be playing on Sunday. That's going to be a fun matchup to watch. I still think Ladd smokes Kool-Aid. I trust in Kamari Lasker, but it's going to be a good matchup.
Well, everybody thinks that Ladd McConkey. Well, let me ask you this: if you don't actually know, I want you guys to type in the chat how tall you think Ladd McConkey is. Come on, guys, get it down in there. Let's go. Come on, guys, tell me how tall you think he is.
4'6".
5'9", 5'10", 5'11". See what else you got. Come on. 6'2". Junkyard Dog says 6'2". That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I like it. Ladd McConkey is 6 foot tall, guys. He's 6 foot. Everybody thinks he's like 5'9". He's 6. He's 6 foot even. So 225 girls says 5'8". The question is now I've heard girls don't like dating short guys, but if Ladd McConkey was 5'8", would you date him?
I hope you're asking the chat.
You're married. You can't date guys anymore.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
Well, I mean, who wouldn't want to date Ladd McConkey? That's the question.
Not me. I got to think for purple hair.
Yeah.
So what I'm seeing here is that a lot of people think he's short and undersized, and a lot of players have actually said they're very surprised when they see him. I would. Right?
Good answer, Sam.
That's a great answer. Sam, right. You Sam, right. I don't know, man. What I'm seeing here is trying to be objective and trying to look at the matchups and trying to take the hat off. Just got weird. The beard's weird. What I'm looking at is when I see the matchups, I don't think that Alabama's defense is going to be able to match up with Georgia's offense. Just that stat alone. Just that stat alone. Their defense is okay. Our defense is actually pretty good. I just don't see how their defense is going to stack up against Georgia. Now, you can say, oh, well, they held LSU to 28. Well, LSU's also got multiple losses because they can't get their stuff together. They've had a good defense all year. Georgia's defense is better. It just is.
Let's not get another thing people aren't talking about, Brett, is their defense. Look, this is the best defense Georgia's going to play this year. The problem is for Alabama. 2 years ago, your defense was light years ahead, and you couldn't stop a sophomore, Brock Bowers.
Right.
How are you going to stop him now?
Hold on, I got to answer that. If you're asking how fast is Ladd McConkey, he runs a 4.4. He's literally lightning in a bottle. He is extraordinarily fast, and he's a hell of a route runner. I do think Milroe will have a hard time in the red zone, Keith. I think you're right on that. The thing that I think that what you're going to see from Kirby Smart and from Will Muschamp, and nobody can doubt this, two of the smartest defensive minds in college football right now on the same team that's had 2 weeks to know that they're going to play Alabama, to be tuning up for Alabama. I think they're going to have a solution for Jalen Milroe. I think that they're going to put a ton of pressure on him and make him throw bad passes. That's what I think is going to happen. And I think Georgia has a secondary to keep him covered up. What a thing. Alex says they can have an elite D, but their D is not going against ours. Our elite O is and out a very good D is going. Yeah, I agree. Good hands and can cut on a dime. That is a fact. So what I see coming up in this game is I see that Georgia's going to be able to get out there and compete on both sides of the ball, and I think Georgia has a better offense than they do, and I think Georgia has a slightly better defense. I think you would have to give the edge at this current moment to Georgia's coaching staff. Now you can say, "Oh, Nick Saban, blah blah blah." Great, that is Nick Saban. That is one coach. That is not the entire staff. If you look at the entire staff overall, Georgia has a better defensive coordinator and a better offensive coordinator. Nobody can argue that because you guys have had to fire your people. If you're firing people, you don't have the best. That's just the way that rolls. So be mad about it.
Yeah.
Hate down in the comment section.
Let me ask y'all this. Now, everybody, all three of us can answer. Who's the X factor this week? Who's the one guy that you're zooming in to look at?
Kendall Milton.
Kendall Milton?
Yeah.
Kendall Milton. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if Georgia can consistently run the ball on Alabama, they ain't got a prayer.
All right.
I mean, if you look at the Auburn game, and I mean, I love looking at these kind of stats. Auburn rushed for 5.8 yards a carry against them.
Okay. I'm going to go a little different. Last time these two teams played, the whole name that most people remember is, excuse me. God, what's his name that we always argue about? Good Lord, now I can't think of his name. Keely Ringo.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to go with a guy who's better at Keely at that position. I'm going to go with Kamari Lassiter. I think he's going to shut everything down on his side.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think that's going to be a great guy to watch.
Junkyard Dogs, I hope you're wrong, because if Muse is a name that we're going to think about, it's not for the reasons you want.
Right? Like, I like how electric he can be, but he's muffed a couple of punts this year. He makes me nervous, man. Makes me nervous.
Yeah. We can't afford any
I don't think
muffed up punt returns in this game.
So here's what I think that you're going to see as far as the mindset from Kirby Smart. I think that Kirby Smart is going to, what's the best way I can say this? He's going to try to get a lead, like a 2-score lead, and then if we can run the ball, he's going to sit on the ball. He's going to drain that clock. We've watched him do it multiple times this year. He does not care about running up a big score. There's been times we have run up a big score, but there's been a lot of times you see him get 2 scores or 2.5 scores up, they sit on that ball. They'll drain 8 minutes off a clock on one drive. 8 minutes. And I'm just like, good Lord, what are y'all doing out there, man? 8 minutes off a clock. You think about that. 8 minutes on a clock. That gives you one possession a quarter. That's all the other team gets, one possession. So in the second half, if Georgia's up 2 scores, they get the ball in the second half, they go down the field. What's up, Porter? If McConkey and Bowers are on the field together somewhat consistently, Beck will have a field day. Facts. Georgia gets up 2 scores, they get the ball in the second half, you're going to look for Georgia to try to slow roll a drive. They're going to go and try to burn 8 minutes off the clock. If Alabama goes down there and immediately scores again, Georgia's going to slow roll that ball one more time. They're going to go down there and go slow again. And Georgia is on third down, and this is something else we hadn't talked about. Third down conversion rate, Georgia best in the country. Third down defense, Georgia best in the country. If you can get them behind the sticks, they're going to try and get Jalen Milroe to run that ball against Georgia's defense. And he had a really good game against Auburn. He rushed for over 100 yards and still had to count on a last-second miracle to win that game. Nah, I don't see it happening. So, what's your score prediction there, Trenches? What you got?
I'm going to go 34-24.
34-24. That's close to what I had. I said 35-21. Although I feel like I ought to say 38 for the field goal, or 38-24 for a field goal or two. Yeah. Their kicker is really good. So, yeah. Hey, what's up, Sarah? Hadn't seen you in a hot minute. I apologize for not being on as much as I would like to be. Life and stuff getting in the way. So, but yeah, it's going to be a great game. I am considering next year just kind of a 35-21. Yep. I'm with you, Porter. 100%, dude. If you next year, because I'm getting really irritated with the halftime shows getting flagged for me you're supposed to be able to report on something, and if it's in the background or whatever, it's fine. They're not giving me strikes on my account, but they've taken down a couple of streams, and I'm kind of getting irritated with that. So some of these other games I may shift, the Georgia games I may shift to doing Patreon. I don't know yet, because it's just then I can show the game, then I can talk about the game, then I can hold the camera up and everybody can see what's going on. What's up, Trenches? You got the giggles.
I was just thinking, man, like, why don't you just put it on your OnlyFans?
Man, that's for toes only, man.
Okay.
For my toes, man. So I got them pedicure toes, man. Alex MLD says dogs by 50.
That'd be nice.
That's right. Absolutely. So for those of you that are watching the show, if you've liked the content so far, there is a join and subscribe button. Being subscribed is great. Joining is what really helps carry the channel in the off season. We would like to try to get at least 10 more 10 more members in the off season. It helps carry the channel. Sometimes stuff gets expensive, like microphones and lights and cameras and software. And by the way, I have to pay for StreamYard. So all of this stuff, and coffee. I drink a lot of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
So it helps. OnlyFans, feet, UGA. paint G's on my toenails, man. But for those of you that can become members and support the channel, we really appreciate you guys. As always, I really appreciate you guys being here. I'm going to go ahead and bail out. I got some stuff I want to take care of this morning before the noon games come on. So I wanted to get your final thoughts there. Zephyroth, you got anything, man?
We win 38-21.
There you go. He says tax write-off. It's a tax write-off if you're making money. If you're not breaking even or making money, it's not a tax write-off. You got to make money to have a write-off. Toby with the second time for the super chat today. Thank you so much, Minner. Says young lad will dominate. You, sir, are 1,000% correct. You guys can also be like Toby, and you can hit the super chat as well. That does help the channel as well. And if there's a video, this is something that they've added recently. If there's a video that you like that I've made, there's a thanks button that will allow you to tip the creator after the fact. So feel free to use that as well. Buy Sheboygan a cup of coffee. See what I did there?
I got it. So clever.
Hey, I got a dad joke for you.
All right, what you got?
What starts with a W and ends with a T?
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does. That's one of my favorites. All right, guys, really appreciate you being here. Thanks for the super chats, Toby. It does help quite a bit. You guys are awesome. I look forward to seeing you guys around the I'll probably do a quick show around halftime. We'll see how things goes. We got some other people coming into town today. We're going to have some college football fun, some game day food, and some reports throughout the day. We will be doing follow-up shows probably tomorrow. I'll try to do them early in the morning. I know a lot of you guys will stay up late, watch games. We're going to do it in the morning. We're going to drink some coffee. We're going to talk about eating crow, who's going to college football playoffs, who, what, where, why, and when, and the chaos that the college football committee has to deal with. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share, especially if you've made it this far. Obviously, you enjoy the content. That means you should come back next time. I want to say a special shout out to Trenches. Thank you for joining the show, sir. Coming out of retirement, dusting off the hat and the jersey to be here with me today. Thank you so much. Zephyroth, thanks for joining the show. Kobe as well, and all of you guys for being here. You guys, I'm gonna let Trenches do it for me today. You go ahead and hit it for me, Trenches.
God bless and go Dogs.
God bless and go Dogs.